O te whatalo whatu mo le whalalo le whafoanga le tunu nei tu aso. Pēna whasisila atu mua, mato whatasi le pot whasalau, ma Professor Gros, o le Director, Malaghan Institute of Medical Research, ia whapea mo le scientisi Dr. Chris Puli'uvea, o se tamali tonga, talta noa e mana i voi whaali atua ia rona ia voi tangata. E talta noa le tatou mta au. Ai matalta nisi o fufuanga ale Malaghan Institute Research. Ia whapea fo imranga luenga a misi suenga na whia ngai mo le scientisi e o ngā mo le tatou au whaafonga. Welcome back to Samoa Capital Radio. Thank you. Professor, it's nice to have you.
Yes,
I like your shirt. I like your shirt.
Thank you for noticing. I feel the competition here.
You better tell me where you buy so I can buy so we can have the same shirt when we next come on. Yeah,
you need to tell me too.
And Puli'uvea, you need to buy one of these shirts.
I think so. I'll come next time.
This is a tough place. You know,
okay.
Best dress.
Yeah,
okay.
Malo Lele, special welcome to you. Nice to have you in the Samoa Capital Radio studio.
Yeah,
yes.
Malo and thank you for having me.
Perhaps we should start, if you can talk a little bit about, we'll get the introductions and then we'll come back to you.
Exactly.
Tell about yourself a little bit for our listeners before we go back to Graham.
Yeah, sure. My name is Chris Puli'uvea. I'm Tongan. I was born in Tonga. Mum and Dad moved here when I was still very young. So I did a lot of my primary school here, and then I went back to Tonga for high school and intermediate. Then I came back here. So I've been traveling sort of back and forth. Did my university training here. Then I went back to Tonga again. I went and taught I was a teacher for 2 years at a high school in Tonga. And then I came back and did my master's and my PhD. And I'm really fascinated. I really like the immune system, and I really want to investigate that further and see what we can do with the immune system with regards to our health. I really like focusing on Pacific health as well, and my wife is Samoan, so I think so. Makes me half Samoan.
Welcome to your the best part of it.
Prof. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much for that introduction. Ia na pil to fa fongo lo fa il tato por kala ngana I lua. Le tam fa le ngana fa Britania in fa tam fa Samoa tu ni sio vaenga. Le vo fa filo tato malo fa lungia le Professor ya Graham. Ia fa pe mal tato malo fa lungia le o mo wa tu to fa fongo voi. Ia e nofo se tamaita I Samoa. Ia loira le malama le vo to manga tato ia fa ngofie vo la tato por kolam. Thank you for telling the listeners about your best part, your other half. All right, so we'll come back. We'll start with Professor here just to give an update. Professor, I know you've been very busy with your team doing your research work. We've been talking about that on the previous programs. So perhaps if you wouldn't mind giving an update of where things are at.
Before I start, can I just jump in and say, look, he's much too modest and humble. Chris is actually a really exciting scientist who's discovered already some very interesting things, especially as it relates to Pacific people's health. And I think that he gave a seminar today at the Institute down here in Wellington. We're very privileged to have him come down here. He gave a big hour-long seminar to all the top scientists, and we're very excited to see if we can find ways to collaborate with Chris and his team based up in Auckland. We just think it's so important, some of the research discoveries that he's making in the immune system have real potential for what we're trying to do here, where we're trying to take discoveries and turn them into therapies for cancer.
And thank you, because when I got told about Chris coming down, and I thought, it's very unusual having a Pacific scientist come and talk to a lot of scientists, European.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
And do not worry, he's not shy, and he held his own. We have a very critical way of examining anyone that comes and presents science to us. They don't get any favours. We look at their science first and see if it looks, and Chris really passed the test. He did a fantastic job today.
Well done, thank you. So we'll come back to him and then we'll find out a bit more about the work he's doing. But
first of all, thank you, and really pleasure to be here again. I think like everyone's finding out there who's listening right now, we're affected also by the tough economic times, what the country's going through. It is a recession. That does mean that money isn't worth. Very mindful. So we've really been working very hard to keep our most important projects going in cancer, in the infectious disease, the vaccine, and also the gut health issues and things like that. So I've been very busy, but we're going to make it through, and we're really hopeful that the economic times get better because we have so much to do. And but we are surviving, and we're working very hard at that. And I'm really pleased the way, just like everyone in the New Zealand community is just pulling together, we're trying to get through this period, etc. More specifically, we are very excited because and very nervous. We're about to start our phase 2 clinical trial for the CAR T cell for B lymphoma. Right. I've talked a lot about it in this station.
Yes.
But we've proven that it's safe. All the patients that came through in our safety study, they did very well. And I think that there's, against all the odds, given how severe the cancer was when they turned up for our trial, a lot of people's lives were saved, and we've been on TV for that. And so now the next phase, the phase 2 clinical trial, we've got to show that under New Zealand conditions, without us being so involved, can we run it to prove to the medical board that this is something the hospital can now use for regular routine care in the hospital system throughout New Zealand. So we're very excited. So we're going to try and treat 60 patients over the next 2 years, and we're getting ready for that because everything's got to work very well to convince that we've made the right stuff the right way. So a lot of work is going into that. The second one, we talked about the vaccine. Every time there's a new variant of COVID that comes through, we're always worried, does our vaccine, as we slowly make it through or quickly make it through, is it still going to work against the next variant? And I've just got the really good results. It's still the best vaccine. Still the best vaccine, and it's really working against all the variants because we're almost ready to do our first stage of the clinical trial in humans now to see how well it goes. So we're very pleased to be able to say that we haven't stopped, and we're going to be in a very good position to bring our vaccine for first in man safety study very soon.
Yeah, I recall in some of our previous the programs, they said, how do you keep ahead of the virus?
Yeah.
You know, all these sort of permutating and, you know, how do you keep ahead?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I gave you 2 big spiels, so you want to translate that?
Ole vaenga pele tō whaafonga mai whaatasi lewa whawhiroa fo tato malo pe ona yele le sunga ya Chris. E utala no nere polo fesa e whaatau lato ngā luenga le whai tono le Malaghan Institute of Medical Research. Mua o lo afia fo lato I whainga o suinga o le tūlanga yele le fo le tau o soifuanga New Zealand. E pe ona yele recession le tala noa I o lo afia fo lato le nau tangata whainga luenga o malo. Ai whapena mo lato ofisa. O lo wha wau pēla tō ngā luenga I lato susuenga o le whainga o tui le puipui e tātou e ele COVID pen whatano te me vai. E o lo tala no fo I lato e isi tua I ngā susuenga mō le tausinga o tātou. E ei manu tā upu lenta lo stasi o Porirua o le gut health po le soifua maloloina leina o lo tūtonga o le manawa. O e pe o Porirua me tōnai e tā ua te le ale leina ia na malo si fo le I o le tangata. Ma nea lal whaafonga mai tūlanga na ia maisi vaenga tu ai ngā infection lene ta wapoto I ngā mai e mawai tātou o lea e a ngā I e pēla tō susu e ngā tūlanga ia. Ai fifia fo lai whailoa tu le tātou o whaafonga le so. O lea na matalatal noa tu le CAR T cell treatment, le blood cancer. Le te vole le o le kānesa o le toto. Ia o lea lai honus fulu ia tangata lela sa ili nei patients. Po la toia mai e whai ele whate ta inga le phase 2 po le vaenga lona lue a fo e mana o mia ina ia ma whai e ona pāsia malo I le whaonganga o le tūlanga lea e pui e tātou pe a mau inga sengase no whaongalo le whale mai. Thank you. I think it's very good to hear about the phase 2. Everybody is crossing their fingers.
Yes.
When will I get it when I go into
Well, you're not going to get it because I put my hand, you're not going to get the cancer, but hopefully not. But it's going to be, we hope, well, of course, there's a really good chance if someone does get the cancer, they'll be in that, it's the right category and it's the right cancer for the trial, they'll be enrolled in our trial in New Zealand because so it's good times ahead.
We've been promoting this interview, by the way, and earlier on I had a text from somebody who was interested. It is a part of the gut health that they want me to discuss with you, so I'll discuss that off live. But no, thank you for that update for our listeners. So we'll hopefully the government will look favorable towards giving you some money for your research, because it's better to spend money on prevention than trying to build more hospitals.
Yes,
that's my view.
Yeah.
Just like looking at prisons. There's no point building more buildings for prisoners.
Less people go.
You try and prevent them going into them. It'll be good use of the money, good value out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Chris, thank you once again for coming in, and it's good to hear that you actually sort of given them what you think that they deserve. It's unusual for Pacific Island to go and stand there and say, hey.
Yeah. No, they were very kind. And looked after me. No, they were very good.
And it's a good story from what you're saying, how you sort of having a bit of your education here, went back, had a little break, come back and continued, and now you end up, being a scientist. That's very good achievement for you. Yeah. So congratulations, by the way. And then, thank you. I also see here that you received the Cranwell Medal Award last year. Yeah. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, malo bit. So back in 2021, myself and some other Pacific scientists, but we have some very good Samoan scientists as well. We all carried out a presentation in Auckland. So we wanted to invite the community, come along and listen to these Pacific scientists. We had chemists, we had virologists, we had immunologists, we had microbiologists. So we all shared some of our research. Now, there's a Samoan virologist, Dr. Natalie Nitzler. She talked about the vaccine, she talked about COVID-19. And then I got up and I spoke about the immune system. How does the immune system respond or protect you from COVID-19? Right. And we got lots of questions from the community. And then shortly after, a couple of weeks after that or a week after that, we kept getting phone calls asking for interviews and for more questions. So our Pacific communities were really interested in knowing more information, scientific information. And so me and Nat did a lot of outreach work, communicating. Nat also went on the radio. I went on the Tongan radio platform. And from there, I think, so the Cranwell Medal is awarded to practicing scientists with excellence in science communication. And someone had nominated us for the award, and I was absolutely privileged when we got the email saying that we had won the award. And but I think it's not so much a reflection on me. I think it's because of the community coming to us, because the community were involved, and because we also had journalists and news people who were also gave us a platform to share the information, and that was very important. So I feel like it's not just an award for me, but I think it's an award for the community. Yeah.
Well done. I think we should have given you an award for coming here, your team.
We were organised down here in Wellington. Up in Auckland, there was a worry if you go back to those times. And I think there was a very strong awareness. And the government didn't have a way to communicate with these communities in a fast enough way. So I think that award up there, for all the problems they have up there, really, I think, recognizing that Chris and Natalie really stepped in.
Yeah, well done. That's very good to hear. Peinto whaafonga mai, o leo tala no i ele whailonga tau o le Cranwell Medal Samoa e le sunga i Chris. Ia whaapea Mr. Maita i whai i Nitzler. Tusa o la tonga venga na whai le taimi leo le COVID lua whilu sutasi. Tau wha malama i tatou tangata lau tele Pasifika e o kilani. Nea fo I tūlanga ese o le vai leo le tatou tuile na vai. A o ia tala no le vaenga le tau le immune system. Ia se I nga I ele tanoa ngā tili na wha mamlama tula I o le vaenga lea. Ai pe o ngā venga na whai ele ngata na whai o scientisi o maa na lato I lo lau Pasifika. Na vai sa whai ala to sau noanga I fono na iei. E na umale e video to e community e sa to po tangata lautele. E watu so e fa mamla matili vaenga ia. E na fai fo la to pokala melungo o le tio. Na aru el pokala me tonga. Yo fo lunga le PMN. Ia matalta no mta fa pene. Ia ta pe o tato fai la nei. Na fo ilana fa munuina ia tangata Pasifika ilunga i Aukilani. Thank you for sharing that. Because I believe a better communication, you empower your community to make the right choice. And that's actually was so evident during that time, because all of a sudden our numbers went up when we did the jab. A lot of Samoans down here, we actually went and said, let's go and do this.
That's good.
And a lot of people follow that. That was very good to hear. Yeah. Congratulations for your medal. The research, it'd be interesting for you to share the unique research that you do for Pacific and Māori and about the immune system.
So us Pacific, Māori and Pacific people, turns out we have some secrets hidden away in our DNA and our genetics that are not found in any other ethnic group. And so I think there's something special there. And when we look at it, a lot of these secrets have to do with your immune system. Can help with your immune system, and sometimes your immune system a little bit like can be a little bit like children. You know, sometimes your immune system is well behaved, and when it's well behaved, then everyone is healthy, everyone is good. Sometimes your immune system can be a little bit naughty and do things that they're not supposed to be told. They're told not to do, and sometimes we can end up in trouble. And sometimes our immune system is a little bit weak. Sometimes we need to give it a little bit of energy to help us fight some of the conditions that Professor here has been talking about: cancer, infectious disease. And sometimes the instruction to tell our immune system to behave well, behave naughty, a little bit weak, a little bit strong, is sometimes in the secrets that are mentioned in our genetics. So what I want to do is I want to go in and find out ways that we can find ways to improve our health by looking at our genetics, and how we can improve our immune system. Because I think once we have a healthy immune system, we can be very healthy and happy and live, really long and exciting lives.
The immune system of a person, you mentioned instructions. Where does the instructions come from?
So we have what's called genes. So you've got DNA. In different parts of your DNA, we can break them up into genes. And so these are the parts of your DNA. I believe that some of the problems that we have as Pacific, we don't have Samoan words or Tongan words for some of these English words, so DNA or genes. In Tongan, we call them, we just sort of use something like the basic unit, like the smallest unit in Tongan, and that's our current translation of gene. And so the genes, sometimes some genes can influence our immune system. Sometimes our immune system is influenced by our environment. So not everything is controlled by our genes. Some things are influenced by our genes. Some things are influenced by the environment that changes our immune system. Sometimes the environment plus the genes can change the way, and so it's very, very complex. But I want to look at how the genes, unique genes for Māori and Pacific, can help us unlock some secrets. Is there, do we develop diseases easier because of some of these genes? And if it does, then let's find out what it is and let's fix it early, or let's find new ways to cure and to provide therapy.
I asked you before, what is a Tongan word for gene? And I've been searching for Samoan word for gene. I've yet to come across one. So, for later, the people, what would be a simple description of a gene for people to understand?
So let's think of a book. Let's think of a book. The whole book is your entire, what we call a genome, with all the instructions. Let's just say it's a when you buy your car, you brand new car, you get a book with all the instructions in.
Yes, how to use
That's
it.
all the instructions of how to use the car. And page 1 might be how to open the door and turn on the key.
Yeah,
So that might be one chromosome.
yeah,
And then there might be just one line that says, you know, this is where the thing to turn on the car is. And that's one gene. So one gene is a little part in a bigger book of your instructions
right.
for your entire genome. And lots of parts of your everything in your body, everywhere, lots of cells in your body will have a copy of your manual or the operating manual of yourself, and all of that is in there. That's probably the best way I can explain a gene.
Sure.
So it's the most basic unit. It could be just one line or one sentence in a book or an instruction manual.
So I was just, while you're talking, I was thinking, so if my immune system is not functional, 100%, obviously one of the genes gone walkabout and forgot to do its job.
Yeah. and that's why we need to go back to the manual.
Yeah.
And so if something is wrong with the car, we know where it's going wrong. Let's go back to the manual and find out what's happening. Where is the problem? How can we fix it? How can we make things better? Maybe perhaps the tire's flat. Oh, well, it turns out there's a new tire. You need to get a new tire. You need to change it. And so it's like that.
I think I'll have to apologize to the listeners. You heard it's a complicated subject. I'll have to do my translation properly. I have to re-listen to the interview and come up. But I'll try my best to describe it how I heard it. Ole mataupune pe on tau whamatala o le tato immune system. Tu se o I le a fo I e wa ai le tato soifua maloloina ma me tupu anga o le tato soifuanga. Le lai tau whamatala mai le tato scientist le vaenga le ta o le gene. Na matala noa le la pola se upu tongo le gene ele iese la to upu lana isi le fia. E o fo le tato wha Samoa e o le tau su e pola se upu e tasi e au tasi e tato. Ai tonu mo tato fo mai Samoa e le ngata ini New Zealand mai sinu o la rangi o whaafonga mai. Ai mese fo Samoa. Ai tonu i eni upu po se dictionary e tato e maua o mai e vaenga iau. O tō tonga ma whaamtalanga o vaenga ese o tato tinu. Ina ia whaafaingo fia fo ma tonga e ringa whaasara lau. Pe at whai tato tanonga whaapene. Ai pe o le mai tau atu. O I le mo e mo me o whaatununga. I te tono vaenga o le tato tino le mo o le tato tupuanga. Po o ai lo tangata ia e le te ele ufolele e te alumatau ave ia vaenga i ta o le gene mai o mātua. I whaapenana whaasolo te ngā tupulanga ese. E o lea lai tau wawa ai e tātou le susuenga la le whaine le songa ia Chris. E pe o na sau noa i Professor. E au ngā tele mo la tō pokalame le whainga o susuenga i e whai e tonga fitinga mo tātou. Pe a malama le leila la tō i chinsi o tātou tangata Pasifika Māori. E pe o na sau noa Chris. O le vaenga lea. E ese mai a chin o tangata Pasifika i Samoa ma Māori. E ese mai tangata palangi mai se foi to ai ngā tangata nu. E o lea lai tau o ele na ia su e ngā pe o sao no full professor. E ngā rurue whaatase la tau. A wai e rao ngā su e ngā ma whaamtalanga i mua mai. Ia e foi ele ia puipuinga o tātou lea ngā i luma. So I was just trying to explain how it works and how the research and your work will inform each other to come with the best results for how to deliver.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, it's very, very good. I'll just add to a little bit what I have, because people who are old enough would remember used to be ticker tape, sort of like a big long stream of string and little codes.
Yes.
And actually that's what the DNA is and what Chris is very good at. Everyone knows that their body is made up of millions and millions of cells, but inside each cell there's this long ticker tape with the code on it. And Chris is very good at just very gently winding out this thing. And so if you come to the Institute, I can show you what DNA and genes look like. And actually, it's this long strings of white cotton, which are all wrapped up inside the cells with that ticker tape code. And a gene is just one piece of that ticker tape. Unfortunately, though, people don't do that. There's no such thing as a ticker tape anymore with codes for a computer. We now just have these cell phones that just do stuff. And so it's very hard, I think, for your science to explain a gene now.
Yeah. Exactly, and Professor's right. It's quite difficult, but that's a very good example that he showed.
Yeah.
It's all bundled up together and, you can find inside the instructions. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Nā tōtou whaafonga mo whaapopo le professor le whaamatanga me le asola sa ia pini me nei vai tātou whailoa mai e po le ale meta o le Jean. E o aso ni le o sui vaenga. A le fo ilai whaatain whaamalo ia Chris Molana ia suenga. O le la tele na malama ila toi vaenga i so ni fo ila tō a onanga. Ila tō suenga lo whaia ni wha scientist. E o na mo ele e o ni a fo ini tūlanga manuia mo tātou la ngai lunga. Toi whatalo whatu mo whalo alo whawhonganga lea tino o mato whatasi po whasalau neisi ufongo la moe i nei Porirua. Ia ma Professor Graham, whapia ma scientist Dr. Chris Puli'uvea. Tata noa fo i neisi o ngā ruengo whea ngai mai lawa nei. Ai mese lana le whapitol tato tanonga ia ma le scientist o Chris. Tala noa iana suenga whaia. Chris, thank you for the first part of our interview. It's good to hear what the work that you're working on. Perhaps, if you wouldn't mind, talk a little more about the research and what excitement you get out of what you do. Do you peer through a microscope all the time, or what do you do outside of doing the research?
Most of the time with the microscope. A lot of the research that some of the work that I do right now, I'm looking at a gene called JAK2, JAK, and then just the number 2. It's everyone has this gene. But sometimes it looks like a little bit different for some people. And for Pacific people, we have a variant, a slightly different version of JAK2. And what I want to do is I want to understand more about it. Does it make your immune system behave naughty, or behave well, or I want to understand how it is, because there are medications that can target JAK2. So this is why I want to look at this further, because if it's causing problems, then maybe we can use the drugs to target JAK2 to fix the problem. But so far, what I've found is that normally when there are problems in JAK2, you can develop cancers of the blood, blood disorders. But what we've found and what I've found is it looks like it's not causing any problems, disorders of the blood. But it's too early. We still need to do some more work. And when we do some more work, we can be more confident in the results that we're finding. But that's just one gene that I want to look at.
Is this present in both male and female?
Yeah, both male and female. Okay. And this version is found in 20% or 19 to 20% of Pacific people. And so I want to understand it better because I want to think of a bigger picture. I want to start introducing what is sort of happening overseas right now, called precision medicine. We want to be able to find out what works for Pacific people and what doesn't work for Pacific people. And if we can bring that to New Zealand and really use the resources and the structure and the expertise, for example, that the Malaghan have, we can really help bring precision medicine to New Zealand. And if it can work really well here, then we can take it back to Samoa, we can take it back to Tonga, and we can implement that. Because right now we need to improve our health here, not only in New Zealand but in Tonga as well. But we need to be careful. We only find out what works and what doesn't work. So and that's why our genes can really help us.
So you describe this JAK2 sort of sometimes it misbehaves and trying to change to something else. Just think of that song, From a Jack to a King or something. Perhaps it's in our nature we want to be a chief.
I have to say, this molecule, it's a gene that turns into a protein, and it's in the immune cells, a lot of immune cells. And so we're always scratching our heads about, what's this JAK2 doing? And this kind of a good vaccine response. And so when Chris came today, everyone was just listening at him talking about the JAK2, and Chris was coming to us and saying, "Hey, you immunologist, I work on JAK2. tell me, what is the best disease I should be looking at? And so we're all scratching our heads. And so it was a very exciting discussion today. And this is where you have this power of a real specialist in a gene, a signalling gene for the immune system, and a whole lot of immunologists who are trying to understand which is the gene they should look at to understand how the immune system works.
Yeah. And how did you stumble on JAK2, by the way?
So we have a list of, I mentioned a little bit earlier, Māori and Pacific people have a unique genetic makeup that's different from other people. And so we know what that list is. And the reason why I picked JAK2 was because it's really important in the immune system. It plays an important role in our response to disease and things like that. And number two, because it's found in about 19 to 20% of our Pacific communities. And three, because it's a drug target. So if it's causing a problem, then at least we can go and look at the drugs that we have. Does that one work? Or does that one work? Or do none of them work? And so that's why I chose to investigate JAK2, because it's the quickest way to find something that can improve the health of Pacific people.
Because it's been a big worry a lot of times that the drugs that have been made up till now have been made for people from America, white American people, and so all the other people who don't carry that sort of, because that's where the big drug companies have been. So it's really critical for here in New Zealand, for Māori and Pacific, that actually we have research trying to identify the genes.
So the medication
because maybe, as Chris says, the drugs don't work very well for Pacific people, and we need to, because they can change the drug and modify it and make it specifically for the Pacific.
Yeah, and if this variant is found in 20% of Pacific people, that's 20% of the Samoan population, 20% of the Tongan population, 20% of the Pacific population in New Zealand. So there becomes lots and lots of people who are not potentially might not respond to one drug, but may respond to another drug. So that's what I mean by precision medicine.
Yes.
Let's find out what works, give it to them, and find out what doesn't work, don't give it to them, rather than just giving out random, just say medication to everybody, but tailor the medication.
When you were talking about 20%, and if you look at the likes of Tokelau, for example, you've got Whakaofo, Nukunono, and Atafu.
Yeah.
There's about 300, 400 people in those. So 20% of that number is so it's quite good for you to, no, that's very interesting. Is there other research work apart from that you're working on?
There are some, another area that I'm interested in looking at, and it's Parkinson's disease.
Yes.
So Parkinson's disease is a disease where neurons in your brain begin to die. And so people develop symptoms like tremors, and it's a neurological, neurodegenerative disease. It normally affects older people, but for some reason, some Pacific people might be getting it earlier, and we don't know why. I think the immune system is being a little bit naughty here and doing things that we don't want it to do. And so the immune system might be attacking some neurons in our brain. And so that could be something that's happening. And so that's another area that I want to look in to see if the immune system is misbehaving or being naughty, doing stuff that it shouldn't be doing. Then we might come up with a way to stop the immune system or block the immune system from doing that. And if we can do that, and we will have expertise here in New Zealand who'll be able to help out with that, and so we can hopefully come up with better ways to manage and help people with Parkinson's disease.
Very exciting. This is be good for you doing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Here we are, here we go. Yeah, this is where on the other side, he says, "Hey guys, give me that. I can see the problem. You guys got to go and find a way to get there." And so so it's very exciting for us, and it's very exciting to meet someone like Chris. And I all credit to Chris. He's got to have an enormous brain. When you're a gene hunter like he is, you never know where your gene goes to in terms of which disease. And so you actually have to really be able to know a lot of things about it, interact with lots of different kinds of scientists, neuroscientists, immunologists and stuff. But of course, we hope he becomes an immunologist. And so we're going to try and get him to come down here, maybe for a sabbatical. If he can come all the way down to Wellington, it's not so bad.
Well, help you extend an invitation to her, because now I know Samoan and what is Samoan.
Exactly. But no, it'll be really great to have him down here for a while.
Thank you. Let me try and translate all that part about check too and all that, and trying to keep everything in my head here. So
Okay.
This is the fun part. We watch him.
o le vaenga nena sau noa nei Chris initial vaenga suenga e taua mo suenga fa science se pe ona fai fo le Malaghan Institute a le fa tino ia nga luenga le ele vaenga o tato to tino le pen matano le upule o le chin o le vaenga I tonu tato tino le mo o le tupu anga tangata po ai lu tangata e mafu mai tau ave mai o matua e o mai o matupulanga lo ia a le la ele vaenga ta ula e o le check 2 JAK man numero lua. O le vaenga na e lepe o na tau whamatala ia e whai ma sui isi taimi o na fōringa po o na winga. Ia le lai tau wa ipo le a tonu ale ma fuanga wa a whai mo whala au po vaile inu tatou pe o ingaya anga i e whala au. Ia vai ele ton fite tatonga sengasi. E te taula o na le lei le a vo le whaatali mai I vaia. Ia wale le whonga o whawhitau li o tatou. Mena la life fia ye fa I la na usile fa fia na o ina ai te fa mai e ai se mena vai ai te o tau I e lo se fulu pasene o tatanga te Pasifika e maua I val sulu lo sulu e lo ingala fa pe o Samoa e lo se fulu pasene o Samoa ye le vainga lo so fo na fa pe na fo tanga te moto Pasifika ese le la tau wa malunga numero na pa tatu fo no si o moto Pasifika leta I tolu se lau le fase lau la fo tanga te le motu. A 2%, 2% o numero na. Tu se na tasi vai lima. Ia lona winga e tu te le na tanga te a fia. Ia la ai o lo fifia fo la le professor fana o longo me la le na fa ilana sa no nga tau talanga le lato fono le la. Ma le au vaenga le Malaghan. E fa matala I Yesu su enga o fa ia. Ina ia mawhai ona ngā lue fa tasi lato I tu ai ngā fa monga ma tanoanga ia. E so sani fo ila to so engolo fai mela na mane fo tar no I tulanga le o le si vaenga le no tala no o le Parkinson disease ia atonu e fo inisio tato tau ai ngolo mo nga senga selia ia fa no mai pe o le la fa infata no crispa mo so na no lumunai po fea nga ia e so sani fo ia tato e fo tonu e fo mai si vaenga so nga senga selo mo tato e fia so sani fo e so nga fa na scientist ia wale na whamatala Chris o le Parkinson disease e mafua ono i mo neula po neurons le tono le whai ai ia a matalona pepe ia vaenga na ia na matalona na whale tonu le soifua malolo ino tangata I pe one vaenga na ai le e mato I awai ale I professor I susuenga ia so sani fo I la tua vaenga nga susuenga. Thank you for that. One of the questions I gave is that obviously when you grew up and you did your school student studies here in Tonga and here, and when did you get into you want to do this line of work?
When I was in high school, I wasn't very good at science. I was better at accounting and economics.
Right.
I was very good at those subjects, but I didn't find it interesting when I went through high school. But I still tried to do science, and because that was the thing that was interesting for me. And when I was doing school in Tonga, that's where I found out my interest in science. I wanted to understand how things work, and I wanted to understand how things didn't work. And I still didn't know that I wanted to be an immunologist, so I went through university. I studied microbiology, and I was a teacher. I knew that I couldn't do teaching. I wanted to do a little bit more. I wanted to find out some of the new information that I was teaching, the students. I wanted to find out more about how that works. And so then I came back and I did a master's. And then after that, an uncle of mine who was also a very close friend, unfortunately passed away of cancer, and I told myself that I wanted to go and give back to my community as much as I can, and so he was the motivation for me to come in and do research. So the first lab that I was in was an immunology lab, and a lab that Professor Graham is very familiar with. And when I was in that lab, I actually found it fascinating, the immune system. I thought it was very, very, I think it's the greatest system in the world. Yes, it is.
It's amazing, we're all born with it.
Yeah. And so I really enjoyed the immune system. And then now coming back to our heritage, where we came from, you know, we've all got secrets tucked away in our in our bodies, and we're walking around with them every single day, and that's our genetics. And so that's why I really enjoy looking at genetics and how it influences, or how it makes our immune system behave. And so that's how I got to the journey to where I am now.
Very good. You know, interesting. You start commerce, you end up being a scientist.
To be an immunologist, it's a long and diverse road, I can promise you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, with the links of some of the research studies, you know, it takes a long time to try and unearth some of the genes within the research.
Yeah.
And good for you to find, you know, the check tube. Now I know next time I see you have check tube.
Check tube.
But in fairness too, Chris, there's not a single thing that you've done in your past that you have not been valuable for you.
Yes.
To be what you are.
Yeah.
The immune system is you can't see it. You know, you can see bits of it, but it's actually, you have to be able to carry a lot of ideas in your head.
Yeah.
And because we only know about sort of 30% of how it really works, we have to carry a lot of uncertainty as well. So when I just listened to your journey there, you know, that was all necessary for you to be an immunologist, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And no regrets, just looking forward from this point on. Absolutely excited.
Well, you can count the cells and everything you look at. No, that's very good to hear. Professor, listening to all that, you know, and with the work you do, I can see the marriage of the two efforts. And great scientific collaborations, it's not just about the science, there's also got to be a will, there's got to be the personality, there's got to be, and you know, you can see Chris has got some good charm, you know, and he's got to build with some of our researchers that, you know, the same age and stage, and I just think it's really exciting. And our job and the community's job is to really encourage these people to get together and across the disciplines, work together and actually make New Zealand focused solutions to our health issues. And it's about giving this personalised medicine or precision medicine. It's an absolute new way of dealing with health. It's going to give everyone listening today a chance in the future. And New Zealand has to get on the board. Otherwise we're going to be left behind. And it's just something that, and will be the graph, we get further behind. And we've got to fight to stay up with the top people.
Yeah, agree.
When you mentioned the precision medicine, I thought, good, that's what we need. We don't want, you know, doctors say, let's try this. Whenever somebody says that, I thought, well, he doesn't know, I might as well go and Google it myself.
I tell you, you guys don't have this problem, but I've got Pākehā skin. I'm missing the gene to make me brown. So when I get the sun, I get skin damage. So now I'm at the age I am, and I'm dealing with the skin damage. So the doctor, it's very hard to know. They try different things, and so every now and then I have to have this and that zapped and try to see it's not a good way. So we need to know more about the skin as well and how we deal with it.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll have to encourage him to work doubly hard.
I think he's working hard. I think if you want to talk to someone, actually, sons and daughters out there, get on the train. Follow Chris. He needs an army. He needs an army of people to support him here. And you need scientists. You need young scientists and clinicians to work for you and with you. And I think if you could, people listening out there, get on board with Chris because that's the future. Chris is the future.
And listening to Chris's story, you know, thank you for sharing that, because one of the things, ever since we've done programs, we're trying to steer some of our students to do science subjects. So hopefully they end up doing something similar to what you do. But unfortunately, the rugby took some of the force early.
Yeah. Those kids, you know, I think that's really right. Here's a fantastic story, Chris. Don't listen to what mum and dad say. They want you to be safe and secure and go and be a doctor and a GP or a businessman or an accountant or a lawyer.
Yeah.
You'll change the world. I think that's what's important.
Yes. Nā tonu nā tō te whaafonga mai te tanoanga fo I ol fufuanga fo I lele a Chrisia na wana whasi whaawhena ol tūranga lea. I o lena whaamtala mai a onga mōmoi nei o kirani aru tonga, to sau nei to aru tonga, to sau nei e nā onga la ia te ia le waru whaimta a mōmua. Sa whape aru e whaimta fo I e accounting me whapena. Ai muli ai, e te o whape, e fie malama tiri I mo me e tupu, e la lona ankole na I tā ua. Pia lona saole mo tangata lau tiri la tau whai su e ngai me. Pole han me mafua ia me tupu tino tangata. Wa ole kānesa lena mali o lona anko. I o lela I nilon sui fuanga le ua a vea mo tangata. A esial mea na amata mai ina amatanga. A tonu au ngā fo le mo whafuanga ngā matua. A iaito walum whanau tau ave whaipo a sisi ngā ringu. Ia le maua mai e se fo le maa nei o toi ngā ringa. Awa mene le whai ala tau. E maua I toi ngā tonga fitinga mo tātou ngase I lumna. Le sa whaanga le upule o le precision medicine. E whaanga po cure. E ngā mo tātou. Ina ia maua le le vai la au e fufo o le whaafitau le o tātou ngase I lumna. Thank you very much, Chris, for sharing that. Don't know if there's any other thing you want to share from your point of view while you're here.
I just want to encourage our Samoan community, not only here in New Zealand but in Samoa as well. If there was an opportunity for you to become an immunologist and to carry out scientific research, would you like to be a part of that? Because I think there is going to be some opportunities for us, and I strongly encourage our Samoan community to be involved and to stay in touch. Otherwise, there's going to be too many Tongans in the area, and we don't want that. There can be problems.
Don't worry, they're all intermarriage. They're part Samoans as well. No, mane whautuanga. Ia nā fo watu whautuanga mo tātou a inga lo mo mal por kala menei tātou tangata Samoa. Mane lesi ngā baenga leo soi fuanga pe anga I to inga so inga whapea mga renga whapea. E fiso soani le wa ingo tātou lava soi fua malo lo ina ngai luma. Le lai wha malo si awe vo le scientisti ina ia tātou e whai ngā renga ia mo le wawa inga o tangata lau tele. The program is called worldwide, so we're appealing to all the Samoans all over the world.
That's good.
And if we have people like you, they should also contact Professor and share whatever research they're doing to help with our, the team here in Wellington. Come up with better solution for us all in going forward.
I agree.
Professor, final comments from you?
No, just really thrilled to be here. Thank you, Afro for inviting us. And thank you, Chris, for coming down to educate us today at the Institute and today here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for you two for coming in and sharing this with our listeners today. And we'll talk some more in the future. Now we've got to get his number so we can just ring him in.
That's the way.
Al tato por kalame na mo whawhanga le tino whawtai la whawhonga mai mo se siama no to tatanoa. La mo fo ilunga to social media por kalame le whaino te anga iema e mai moai. Ai mo se ama no lumai to tal no terminate ya to wha sui fua.